bestowed with kind parting words from Karasu, the three of us set off. Traveling in an armored truck, Suoh, my father, and I prepared ourselves for the long journey ahead and the minefield awaiting us beyond. 3 hours passed by in the blink of an eye, all spent in relative silence. Aside from the occasional passing of information, predominantly in the form of minor snippets of pertaining to Suoh's role in the whole affair, my father didn't say a word. Likewise, the only sound to come from Suoh were grunts of agreement and the occasional understood or yes sir. But despite being left out, I didn't feel disheartened. The other two were only talking about work anyway, and my father knew I had been briefed to oblivion on this mission already. Instead, I felt strangely calm, as though the worst was already behind us. Enter the building, activate the 3 devices in unison, and grab as much information as possible. Get out within 15 minutes. If anybody isn't back by then, they're dead weight, and it's every man for themselves. Simple, straightforward, and unapologetically cutthroat. I may not like it, but that is the plan, and I realize that stressing out now won't help. It's too late for me to change anything, or to do anything differently. All I can do now is follow the plan, and hope for the best. I sighed in resignation, as any remaining tension left my body. Maybe that's why I feel so calm. If everything is out of control, then I have nothing to feel guilty about or to worry over. Whatever happens, it won't be my fault. I've already done everything that I could. Nobody can blame me, even if we fail, right? I shook my head as I listened to my own thoughts. No, that's not right. That's the kind of reasoning cultists use as they commit unspeakable acts in the name of some higher power. I'm still responsible for my actions, and my actions still have consequences. If I get everyone killed, it won't be a simple matter of shrugging the incident off and saying, well, I tried. I will be held accountable, just like on any other day. But if that's not it, then why? Why do I feel so calm right now, even knowing that I could never hope to fully prepare myself for something like this, or account for every possibility? What kind of idiotic reasoning can I attribute this sudden confidence to? I turned my head from side to side, looking at my fellow passengers. On one side was my father, sitting with his arms crossed and his back straight. He stared straight ahead, completely focused on what was yet to come, and surrounded by his usual air of confidence and imperviousness. On the other side was Suoh, who couldn't sit still. He continued to move around, no doubt uncomfortable after sitting down for a good 3 hours or so in a cramped truck. Despite his discomfort, however, he didn't seem especially uneasy, a little nervous perhaps, but not afraid, and certainly not unprepared. Even as the least experienced person present, Suoh possessed skills that I did not, and if history was any indicator, he would fight on until the very end. Looking at these two impressive individuals, I couldn't help but smirk. I mean, Suoh, Sai, and Misa, that's like the triple threat, that's the dream team. Karasu couldn't have gotten a better trio for that, definitely. I realized what was causing my seemingly baseless confidence, and self-derisive though it may be, it made me want to laugh. I see. So that's it. How embarrassing. To think that I can feel calm for such an idiotic reason. It's not that I feel as though I've trained enough, or studied enough, or that I can take on any challenge to come my way. No. The reason why I don't feel nervous is because I have confidence in my partners. My father, the strongest and most capable person in the world, who would slaughter every other staff member across the globe if it meant protecting me. He may have let down the other half of our family, but that's all the more reason why he will try his hardest, and stop at nothing to make his mission a success. My father will complete his role perfectly. He will return to the rendezvous point right on time, give a stern command, and show us the safety. Then there's Suoh, Karasu's so-called chameleon. Suoh may be inexperienced, but as his partner, I have seen with my own two eyes what he's capable of. True to his title, he's been able to adapt to every unfortunate situation to befall us, and not once have I felt unsafe in his presence. If we do get into trouble, Suoh's adaptability will prove to be our trump card, and will explain without suffering a single escape without suffering a single casualty. With these two by my side, failure is not even a possibility. We will complete our respective tasks flawlessly, regroup, escape, and live out the rest of our lives in complete and utter peace. Suoh, Misa, we're almost there. It's time to hide. My father suddenly piped up, breaking my concentration and reaffirming that the time for frivolous thoughts was over. From here on out, I could no longer afford to waste time mulling over my own feelings or mental state. We had a job to do, and until it was done, I would become the professional I so often claimed to be. Right. Suoh and I followed my father's lead and hid below the floor of the truck. While the inside of the truck was by no means spacious, the space below the floor was downright cramped. Between the three of us, there was precious little room to reside, and movement was not an option. Ugh, I can't even move an inch in here without brushing up against either Suoh or my father. No wonder our team needed to be compromised of no more than 3 people. Even if the others didn't turn traitor, we couldn't fit a 4th member in here, let alone a muscle-bound idiot like Kane. Our vehicle came to a sudden stop, forewarning us of what was yet to come. We're in. In 5 seconds, I'll open the hatch below us. Try to land on your feet, okay? Lacking the room to do so physically, I mentally nodded as I prepared to land. A perfect landing. Get up. There's no time to lay around. While my father and I both landed on our feet, Suoh hit the ground hard. My eyes were yet to adjust from complete darkness to the bright interior of the facility we had just entered. Nonetheless, I quickly located Suoh and grabbed his hand, pulling him towards our next destination without a second to spare. And after a few moments, hand in hand, we entered the control room. Alright, Suoh, Misa, do you have the devices I gave you? Yes, sir. Good. Suoh, that terminal is yours. Misa, yours is the one next to it. Suoh, you go first. Misa and I will sync our timing with yours. Understood? Got it. I took out the device from my pocket and walked over to the terminal I was designated. Resting my thumb on the switch, I awaited a signal from my partners. Okay. Are you two ready? Whenever you are. Suoh exhaled deeply, then focused on the task in front of him. 3, 2, 1, go! Did it work? All 3 devices are on, and this room hasn't been locked down. Yes, it worked. Phew, thank God. Tell me about it. These devices have never been tested in a real adder facility, so if I had to identify the part of our plan most likely to fail, this would be it. There was also a fair chance that someone would be working late in here, and that we'd have to kill them before advancing. Thankfully, neither one of those 2 disasters befell us. Don't get complacent yet. We're only just getting started here. Suoh, Misa, that door is yours. The security system is down, so any fingerprints and retina will open it. I'm taking the other entrance. We'll meet back here in 10 minutes. Got it? Huh? Wait, what do I... 14 minutes, 30 seconds. Get moving! On my father's command, I headed to the door he assigned us, then used the fingerprint and retina scanners to open the door. Grab. Seeing Suoh looking confused, I grabbed him by the hand once more and pulled him through the door. Okay, Misa, this is it. Time to split up and get to work. The rooms in which late-night research are most likely to be conducted were clearly marked, as were those pertaining to subjects which Karasu specifically requested. I need to prioritize the rooms he requested, then move on to those which should be empty. If I have time, then I'll visit some of the risky rooms, and make sure to leave well and truly before our 15 minutes are up. I removed the wakizashi on my hip. What is a wakizashi? Usually hidden behind my back underneath a layer of clothing, and put the blade in a keycard scanner of my first target lab. So I guess that's a blade, a knife, wakizashi. Sounds awesome. The door opened without issue, once again causing a wave of relief to wash over me, and I entered a moment later. Wasting no time on physical documents, I went straight to the only computer in the room. I then moved the mouse slightly, which caused the screen to light up and display the computer's lock screen, prompting me for a password. After cycling through a few of the most commonly used passwords, I struck gold at password 1. Really? Password 1? I actually had a similar, it's a password that I'm pretty sure everyone had at some point in their life, right? But I actually thought I was a fucking genius for having it, and my password was just password in Dutch, which is wait. Literally translated, it's wait word, wachtwoord. Yeah, wait, wacht. That's kind of the literal translation of it. And I just thought like, oh yeah, that's bloody genius. Nobody's gonna guess that. And then I just asked my friend, like, wait, you actually have a similar password? Really, dude? It'd be nice if we had time to disassemble these computers and take the hard drives, or boot up live USB operating systems instead. There's no guarantee that all the labs will use such insecure passwords, and I can't afford to guess more than 10 or 20 of the most commonly used secure passwords. Secure, she said secure, password 1, before giving up and moving on. As part of my preparation for this infiltration, I had memorized the 20 most commonly used passwords consisting of 8 letters or more, which were also mixed case and containing at least one number. It was all freely available online as a part of a university study covering a broad range of cybersecurity topics, and I remember banging my head on the desk more than once as I went through the list. But as painful as it was to discover how lax people are about their digital security, it did make my job easier. To be fair, I am kind of lax in that department too. I've had one password, like since I was 12 maybe or something, and I've used that for I guess half of my life now, and it's the same password ever, except for my, I have one different password that I only have for my main email, and for everything else I have the same password. It's the same word, but obviously, due to upping the security system over the last couple of years, you have to add like numbers, capital letters, and that such. So it remained the same word, but obviously you can replace letters like A with 4 and stuff like that, and put 1337 at the end. Weird shit like that, So it's like a array of combination of the one word, all with different capitals and different numbers and whatnot, but it's still the same password to me. So I'd kind of be fucked actually if people knew that. Well, I'm not saying it. Most of the HDD is empty. I guess I'll just copy everything I can. No use wasting time sorting through it now. Concealed under my shirt, holstered by like pistols, there were 6 portable solid-state drives. With a combined storage capacity of roughly 1.5 terabytes at my disposal, wow. My job was to copy as much data as I could within a reasonable amount of time. To that end, I removed one of the SSDs and plugged it into the first computer, then began to copy all of the non-system data I could. By leveraging the command line, I began to copy with appropriate flags to ensure that problematic files would simply be skipped, thus ensuring the operation would complete without my intervention. Unbelievable. What kind of system administrator gives end users this level of access? In the same manner as the first room, I traveled to the next few targets on my mental list. Unfortunately, I was only able to access 4 of the 12 computers I tested within 20 guesses or less, so I was wasting more time than I had hoped. Damn, only a 1 out of 3 success rate, only 33.3333333% success. I hope my partners are having more luck than I am. I had caught a glimpse of Suoh while moving between rooms. He was carrying what looked like a duffel bag, filled to the brim with DVDs, flash drives, paper documents, and whatever else he could get his hands on. It was a terribly inefficient way to steal data, and would only serve to slow him down, but nonetheless, he was doing his job. Okay, on to the next room. I mean, that's the weird thing, right? Like, I kind of agree it's much easier to steal, data, like actual, computer data that's on your, how would you actually call it? Not physical data, but, virtual data? Is that the word? I don't know, but you know what I mean, right? The data that's on computers and that you can copy through flash drives or just sticks and whatnot, Like those type of data, that's definitely way easier both to carry and kind of to steal as well, because you're just simply putting it, it's a lot of information on this tiny thing that you can easily take with you. So I do agree that Misa has like the best efficient way of stealing the data, but Suoh's way is kind of like, it leaves a lot of proof behind as well that they've stolen it, because he takes physical things, right? He takes the documents, he takes the DVDs and stuff like that, but at least you can guarantee that the data that he stole is kind of permanent. Whereas, when it comes to virtual data in a sense, or like, flash drives can fail, hard drives can fail, something can happen and it disappears. Whereas with paper documents, yeah, the same can happen, your room can catch on fire and it can gone, but then again, that could happen with everything. So I just feel like with paper documents, it's just more, it actually feels like you're holding the data in your hand rather than this flash drive contains all the data, but it's kind of, it's hard to visualize it, like, yeah, this has all the data in it. So I feel like if I were actually Suoh and compare just on like a very superficial level and compare to like, who had done the most work and who gathered the most data, if Misa only showed me like hard drives and Suoh like, I don't know, tons and tons of papers, I'd be like, yeah, Suoh looks like he got the most. But Suoh is still a noob, he's learning, and he was quite panicked in this moment, like, whoa, shit, what the fuck do I actually do? Oh shit, it's adder time, alright, I'll just grab whatever the fuck I can. That was basically his mental state at that moment. So yeah, but Misa was definitely more efficient. But it's fun to actually see the difference between the two, considering that Suoh is still kind of a newbie at this, and Misa is the professional that she so claims to be. I had visited each of the rooms Karasu specifically asked for, and collected the SSDs I was left copying. Now was time for the less valuable, but more likely uninhabited rooms. Only 5 out of 18. This really isn't going as well as I'd hoped. Maybe the staff here aren't as careless as I thought. I checked the first uninhabited room on my mental list. With a flick of the wrist, the computer screen turned on, this time jumping straight to the desktop. No lock screen, no password prompt, no protection whatsoever. Perhaps I spoke too soon. Whoever oversees this outer branch's cybersecurity, you have my condolences. Yeah, that guy's gonna get fired tomorrow. As the copying began, a sound from out in the hallway caught my attention. What the heck? Is Suoh trashing one of the labs? Or could he perhaps have run into a researcher working late? Cling, cling. I tried not to think about Suoh's predicament. Nah, Suoh's just celebrating, with a toasting and a glass of champagne, like, yeah, we're doing it. My focus belonged on the job at hand. I could not allow my curiosity to get the better of me. Forget about it, Misa. Suoh has his job. You have yours. Focus on the task at hand. Shutting out all external distractions, I moved on to the next room, and then the next. As with the first room, neither one of the targeted room's computers were protected. I was able to access the computer and begin copying information without a single roadblock. It might just be a coincidence, but it seems like the only computers with even basic protection are those in the labs Karasu was interested in. That means that they probably hold more, important information. I guess the information in those labs is too valuable to leave completely unguarded. Though if it's that valuable, they could do a hell of a lot better than they have been. Moments before I could access the fourth unprotected computer, the same sound from earlier rang out. The sound appeared to be either louder or closer than before, and what immediately followed were footsteps. A few seconds later, Misa! Suoh? What's going on? Is there trouble after all? Did I lose track of time? Noticing the blood on Suoh's face and the panic in his voice, I instinctively reached for my wakizashi. Misa, you're safe after all. Listen, I don't know what's kept you for so long, but we've run out of time. We need to go right now. Leon is here, and he's... Oh, holy shit! Holy shit, even though I remember this moment exactly, it's still funny that, like, you know, the moment Suoh says, Leon is here, and then shock! Not even 1 second after those words came out of Suoh's mouth, did Misa fucking grabbed her wakizashi, ran towards Leon, and just stabbed him in the freaking skull, his brain. Before Suoh could finish his sentence, I lunged forward, striking his predator with deadly precision. Leon was already in bad shape, bleeding and exhausted. He had been on the receiving end of a serious ass-kicking. Fortunately for Leon, I was in no mood to take pity on him. I pushed him against the wall and pierced his skull with my blade, guaranteeing his death beyond doubt. Gurgle all you want. You're as good as dead. I don't care how good you think you are, Leon. You're a flesh and blood human, and you're about to die like one. Within the moments, the gurgling stopped. Leon was dead, killed in an instant by yours truly. He put up no resistance, failed to say a single word, and died like the ruthless maggot I always knew him to be. However, I could not take any pleasure in a sudden encounter. I was in the middle of a job, and while Leon's death was welcome, his presence was a sign that things were about to go wrong. Horribly wrong. Damn, I knew this was all going too smoothly. Why is Leon here? What was he planning? Did he think he could bust in after we did the hard work and just take our haul? Or is there something bigger at play here? Whatever the case, I have a bad feeling about this. Misa, that was amazing. I came here to warn you about Leon, but it looks like I needn't have bothered. Let's get out of here now, before your luck runs out. Uh-oh. While I was focused on ensuring Leon's death, another presence manifested behind me. I tried to spin around, but my blade was embedded in Leon's skull, and I couldn't free it in time. Before I knew it, I was being restrained, choked from behind, and unable to break free. Phew, that was a close one. I'd hoped to find you while Leon was keeping your partner busy, but it looks like you're mine regardless, little girl. Kane? I should have known Leon wouldn't be working alone. If my wakizashi wasn't still embedded in that compost heap right now, I'd be... As thoughts of resistance filled my mind, the pressure on my neck increased. I could not breathe in at all, nor could I move an inch without my already damaged larynx being crushed. Really now? To think that you killed not only Violet, but Leon too. I may not be the family man that Karasu claims to be, but I was rather fond of those two, you know? No matter how hard I tried to breathe, no air would enter my lungs. For all of the skill with a blade, my agility in a fight, my discretion on the job, I was simply no match for Kane in terms of strength. Without a weapon handy, I couldn't damage him in the slightest. Misa! Let her go, you bastard! I wouldn't come any closer if I were you. One little twist, and this girl's head will come straight off. Be it due to the lack of oxygen, or the blocked arteries in my neck. I could feel my vision begin to darken. Sounds mere inches away from me were becoming faint. My head felt dizzy, and my consciousness steadily began to fade. Parts of my body went numb, one after the other. My arms felt limp by my sides, then lost feeling, as though they had been severed, or never been there to begin with. From there, I quickly lost touch with my other senses. The scent of blood, which I never thought I would miss, vanished without a trace. The voices of Cain and Suoh were dampened to the point where I could not hear a word they said, and even if I could, my thoughts were too hazy to make sense of their chatter anyway. Finally, the last of the light in my eyes threatened to disappear. I could hear nothing, smell nothing, taste nothing, and see only Suoh's desperate face. As the last of my consciousness faded, surprisingly few thoughts filled my mind. I was not concerned with any notion of an afterlife. I did not look back on my life with perfect hindsight and wonder what could have been. I did not wish I could have done things differently, or even desired to trade places with someone else. I did not care about any of that anymore. Instead, at that moment, facing certain death, all I could think about was my family. My mother, slain back in Japan, fated to die because of my father's criminal dealings. My older sister, Sanae, who crushed my larynx when I was just 7 years of age. Wow. So her older sister actually caused her to be unable to speak? Crush her larynx. Damn. My father, who lost his wife and abandoned his eldest daughter, then tried to create a new life with his one remaining family member. And myself, always sitting on the sideline, unable to do anything but watch as my family was torn apart. Come on, Misa! Wake up already! You're not allowed to die! My messed up family, so beyond saving that most people would not even try. A family filled with so much death, central to an astounding amount of malice, and doomed to forever be bereft of joy. Even so, that was my family. From my criminal father, to my homicidal sister, to my enabling mother, each and every one of them was a precious family member. An irreplaceable existence so special to me, so unique, yet always beyond my grasp. You have to pull through, Misa! Who's gonna keep me company if you die too? In the end, was I a good daughter? Was my choice to follow in my father's footsteps and help him achieve his goals enough to absolve me? Would my father or mother have approved of this life of mine? Would she have enabled me like she did my father? Or would I have been better off dying by my sister's hands? You promised me that we'd stay together, that you would stay with me, remember? We're going to live happily together, free from the death and bloodshed. I suppose none of that really matters now. My mother is dead, my sister is likely dead, and my father is bound to get himself killed one of these days. All I'm doing is going with the flow. Even so, I am sorry, Father. If I had been more attentive, like you taught me to be, I wouldn't be in this situation. If I had paid attention to the time and returned promptly, we'd be escaping together at this very moment. If I had just been a better daughter. Please, Misa, just open your eyes. Misa? Where? For a moment, after regaining consciousness, my memory failed me. Stung by the bright lights, I slowly opened my eyes and then looked around the room. I was lying on the floor of a research lab in the outer branch we had infiltrated, and kneeling over me, cradling my torso, was Suoh. How did I get here? My throat hurts, my chest hurts, my lips are wet, my eyes sting, and I can't remember how I lost consciousness in the first place. But before all of that, why is Suoh crying? Jeez, don't scare me like that. Relief filled Suoh's voice as tears ran down his cheeks. There was blood on his face, but as far as I could tell, he was not injured. Instead, it seems as though I was the one who had been injured. Is that my blood? Am I bleeding that heavily? I'm not dying, am I? No. If that was the case, Suoh would be crying out in pain, not joy. I know what he looks like when he's mourning, and this isn't it. While my logic was shaky, my conclusion was correct. I wasn't dying, not any longer at least. I had trodden dreadfully close to the other side, called forth by those who went on before me, but I had not crossed over. Before I could make the final mistake of my life, I was called back by a single person. Misa, don't you dare scare me like that again. If even you were to die, then The moment I dared to feel one iota of relief, terror filled my mind. The smiling boy kneeling over me, who had just saved my life, had been stabbed through the chest. Impaled by my own blade, his face displayed not fear, but confusion. Protruding from his chest was a piece of bloody steel, and behind him... Phew, I gotta hand it to you, kid. I didn't think you'd actually manage to save her life. Was Kane. It's a good thing I decided to stick around and finish the job, just in case you actually succeeded. The moment Kane's disgusting voice reached my ears, I remembered exactly what had happened. I remembered slaying Leon, being strangled by Kane, and losing consciousness as the blood and oxygen stopped flowing to my brain. Now, after felling me, Kane had stabbed Suoh from behind, seeking to finish what he had started. God. My eyes opened wide, and my pupils darted back and forth. No sooner had I regained consciousness than a horrific scene played out before me, one which I was unable to prevent. I had been pulled back from the brink of death, and in my place, Suoh was about to die. Why? Why is this happening? Things were going so well. We were all doing our job so perfectly, and everything was going according to plan. I retrieved ample data. Suoh filled a massive bag with all sorts of documents and digital mediums. Even Leon was disposed of quickly and easily. He posed no threat at all. So why? Before I could mull over the situation any further, a ray of hope entered the room. Turning to face that unexpected intruder, whom I had not even heard, Kane immediately found himself face down on the floor, laying in his own blood. Look at that freaking hole in his head. Damn. I actually realized midway through that scene that the word I was looking for was not virtual data, but digital data. That seems like a better one, because virtual is kind of, that it's not really existent, whereas digital is that it's like, it's digitized, it's on a computer or laptop, or I think definitely digital was the better word instead of virtual, but too late to change that now. He had been shot with deadly accuracy by none other than my father. But I had no time to praise my father, or to wish that he had arrived even 30 seconds sooner. At that moment, my mind was filled with one thing, and one thing only. Suoh! Our positions reversed. I kneeled over Suoh, my mouth agape, and my eyes wet. I tried to scream his name. I tried to keep him from falling asleep, in the same manner as he had woken me up. But after being choked by Cain, my throat had been damaged worse than it was already, and I could not squeeze out a single sound. With tears streaming down my face, I screamed wordlessly, wished for the second time in one day that I possessed the strength to speak even one word. My throat felt like it was on fire as I pushed myself harder than ever before. Before me, Suoh's eyes were gradually closing. He would soon lose consciousness, just as I had. But unlike me, he was not deprived of oxygen, nor was his blood flow disrupted. CPR would not save him, as I assumed by the wet sensation on my lips that it had saved me. Screaming at him would not bring Suoh back from the border between life and death. He was dying, and there was nothing I could do about it. And yet, I kept trying to scream his name. No matter how hopeless I knew it to be, I did not stop. I didn't even think about giving up. Forgetting all about where we were and what we were doing, forgetting all about the 15-minute time limit, I could think of nothing but the boy dying in front of my eyes. Misa, we have to go. Spoken in a low, serious tone, my father exhibited no emotion as he prompted me to leave. As he had suggested before, when he himself was the hypothetical victim, my father wanted me to leave Suoh behind. He wanted the two of us to escape before our time well and truly ran out, if it hadn't already. And for what it was worth, I understood. I knew we couldn't all go down just because one of us was at risk. Suoh dying would truly be a tragedy, at least in my eyes, but his death was nothing compared to all three of us dying. Indeed, the sane, rational, professional thing to do would be to leave him to die and to make our escape. Misa. Even so, I didn't budge. Whatever fate might befall me, at that moment, I was paralyzed. Not by fear, not by anxiety, and not by pain. The cause of my immobility was nothing so obvious. Truthfully, even I didn't know why I refused to move. I knew it was the right thing to do. I knew it was the professional thing to do. And yet... Suoh... Suoh and my father both stared at me in amazement as I finally completed my objective. But by that point, I no longer cared. What good was being able to speak Suoh's name if I could not save his life? I could take no pride in speaking a dead man's name, nor could I selfishly call myself a professional for the grand achievement of letting someone close to me die. To hell with being a professional. If being a professional means abandoning the people you care about, then I'm out. I'm not my father. I can't just cast aside those closest to me like they're worthless. If there's any chance whatsoever that Suoh might be saved, no matter how slim, then... Despite the state of my weary, wounded body, I rose to my feet, slinging Suoh's arm over my shoulder and pulling him up. I struggled to rise. Under our collective weight, my legs were not even close to being up to the task. Though my mind might be willing, My body was weak. Damn, Suoh looks heavier, or is heavier than he looks. When we get back home, I'm putting you on a diet, and no more muscle training for you either. I'm not gonna rest until I'm every bit as strong as you, wow, Muscle Misa. Albeit forced, my positive thinking yielded immediate results. Moments ago, I could barely stand, yet now I was holding Suoh up as though he was weightless. Sometimes it's just, it's not always just a physical thing, carrying someone. Being mentally strong as well is a huge help in those situations. Especially, remember those situations? It happens in the news every once in a while where like a 5-year-old kid is able to lift a freaking car because their mother was stuck underneath it. Sometimes it's just all about the situation and stuff, and he just managed to summon like unspeakable strength for a person of that size, age, or whatever. Obviously 5-year-old kid was a bit of an exaggeration, but just a person that would otherwise in no freaking way would be able to lift up a car to save a person. In some situations, it's just, I don't know if it's like entirely mental or a combination of physical and mental, or just, I don't know, even a divine intervention, like just gaining strength from somewhere that you didn't even have, and just able to use that in that moment to save that person. It kind of reminds me of this. Honestly, what a troublesome daughter I have. On Suoh's other side was my father, who was lifting more than his fair share of the weight. Between the two of us, Suoh suddenly felt as light as a feather, and we were able to take our first step forward. You'd better be sure about this, Misa. If you two break up the second we get out of here, I'm going to be pissed. That would be funny, actually, They go through all this trouble and risk professionally, because as Misa mentioned, professionally it is the correct decision to leave Suoh behind. And what they're doing right now, it's a job that they're doing, right? It's a professional matter. So they knew the risk going into this. Suoh probably knew the risk as well, that if he were to be in this situation, the smartest thing would be to leave him behind. So he probably couldn't even blame them if they did that. But just the fact that Misa is willing to do this and, able to cast aside her professional side for her, I guess, more personal and emotional side, and Sai is willing to help her with that. And kind of, this is the thing about Sai. Isn't he like a professional through and through? Like even a professional before a father? But to actually see him cast aside his professional side at this moment as well, it's kind of a nice thing to see as well, considering, according to Misa, Sai isn't the best father in the world when it comes to like the little details, right? Obviously he cares a great deal about his daughter. Obviously he wants to protect her at all costs. But he isn't the best father when it comes to like, doing all the little stuff that fathers should do. But he is all about the grand gestures, right? And this is one of those. And for him to this is kind of him accepting as well, if Suoh is going to survive, that, alright, I accept you two as a couple. Oh. For a moment, I could have sworn I saw a smirk on my father's face. I don't know what I am right now. That sounded like half sad and half laughing at the same time. Unfortunately, with our time likely having expired long ago, and Suoh in no condition to walk, I couldn't spare the time to ponder such a fleeting thought. I had only one goal in mind, and until I had achieved it, nothing would stand in my way. Not Leon, not Kane, not Adder's security, and not even my own anxiety. We were getting out of Adder, safe and sound. All three of us.